I think people's most common misunderstanding of Category 3 films is that they're just cheap and throwaway and, just violent or pornographic films, and they're not. It was a cinema of Hong Kong identity, very depictive of where Hong Kong is during that period. For me, Category 3 cinema really ends, and I don't mean it ends with the sense that it completely disappears, but I think it ends with the Asian financial crash. My name is Calum Waddell, and I'm the director of Category 3, the untold story of Hong Kong exploitation cinema. I worked for 3 years in China. I did my PhD at Aberdeen University. My research is on global exploitation cinema and basically films which aren't spoken about so much in the academic world. There's actually 4 categories. So there's the category which is suitable for everybody, category 3 which is over 18s only. The early influence really comes from the 1970s. The late great Run Shaw. When he began the Shaw Brothers, he made a film based on the Bahasa legend of the Oily Man, and that was remade in the 1970s as Oily Maniac. But also films like Killer Snakes, really wild, really crazy, in some cases quite sexy films, but they didn't have a rating attached to them. Before 1988, there wasn't this rating system in Hong Kong. It happened in 1988, and it actually came about because of a mainland Chinese film which was to be released in Hong Kong called Men Behind the Sun. Before 1997, the films were made very cheaply and very fast, so they have this sort of really gritty, really kind of threadbare look to a lot of them, which I think heightens the sense of insanity. So the documentary is really about that period rather than the period afterwards. So I think that was the peak year, 1993, and that certainly legitimized Category 3, with the untold story based on a true story. Gave Anthony Wong a Best Actor award. There's a very strange mix of horror and comedy, which is so incredibly brutal. It would be unthinkable that a film like this would play in a mainstream theatre in the UK or in America. It just makes you want to take a long shower after watching it, which is the mark of good exploitation cinema. My favourite Category 3 film called Run and Kill, which is a film about this man. His wife's having an affair, and he while he's drunk, he indicates to Hitman that he wants to kill his wife, and this Hitman, who's played by Simon Yam, takes him literally and actually does kill his wife, and then says, "You need to pay." And Kent Chen's, "I was drunk, I don't remember any of this, I'm going to report you to the police." So this Hitman then goes about, attempting to kidnap and kill his daughter, and things just get worse and worse and worse, and it becomes so incredibly violent and over the top. David Wardell is a very famous film academic, and he says that Hong Kong cinema is a cinema of excess. It's a cinema where if you can exploit the body, you exploit it to its to the fullest extent, exploiting your interest in violence and gore and being upset and whether or not you can tolerate or watch the screen. In terms of Viva Erotica, it's actually about making a Category 3 film. So it's actually maybe the very first postmodern Category 3 films. You have Shuki and Leslie Chung. But the irony is that she plays a sex star who never undressed. She broke into the mainstream with Viva Erotica. So it's kind of, having fun with what low-budget filmmakers are doing in Hong Kong at that time. So Happy Together, made by Wong Kar-wai, was really groundbreaking. Happy Together is a rare example of a Category 3 film that went all around the world. Often Hong Kong films play with stereotypes because, quite offensively, it was assumed that if a woman posed nude, that's all she could do. Like Sex and Zen, an erotic ghost story, obviously, where you have Amy Yip, became a big Category 3 star. If you look at the Category 3 performers that are still performing today, like Simon Yam, they're the minority rather than the majority, yeah. Josie Ho is very proud of it. She really likes these films and thinks it's important to keep them alive. Asian financial crisis in 1997, which had a considerable impact on a lot of local industries, including the Hong Kong film industry. Less films are made in Hong Kong, and because of the rise of DVD, and then today with a younger generation who have Netflix, who have streaming, when they do get made, they have a release in Hong Kong and nobody else ever sees them. Category 3 cinema it's becoming rarer and rarer to see it. Now Herman Yao now makes films in mainland China. Daniel Chan is an example of a relatively new director on the scene who wants to make Category 3 films. That's because he wants to make the movies that he grew up with. The challenges are, how can you make a cinema which is profitable, but which is only for people in Hong Kong?